To 4.
And indeed they will come back and finish this match this evening. You both know what it's like to come back to the Crucible as defending champion and take that walk out on the opening morning. How scary, how thrilling, or in equal measure can it be?
Very, and obviously you want to put up a good performance. The first round here you don't want to be playing your best snooker. You want to, if you can, save a little bit in reserve. We've seen people come here before and play first, second round, fantastic, and have nothing left afterwards. So it's a very tricky opening session for him. Liang's played really well, and lesser match players than John Higgins would have been behind going into tonight's session.
It hasn't been done for 16 years, Stephen. That is someone coming back. It was Stephen Hendry, and indeed you've done it, of course, and successfully defended the title at the Crucible. What makes it so difficult to do?
I think it's just the fact that to win the World Championship is very, very tough. I think it's slightly easier possibly defending than when you've won it your first time and have to come back, because then all of a sudden you are really sort of scared as you walk into the room, really. But John Higgins is an experienced campaigner, so I don't necessarily think that'll be even on his mind. He just knows there's another onslaught ahead. They both had chances in that session. Neither of them firmly took the chance to sort of get a lead, and John Higgins, such a great match player, you've got to scrape him off the table. He's just managed to get that 5-4 lead.
We talked earlier in the programme about how John hasn't won a title this year. Oh, shock horror. And it is really from his perspective, I suppose. But he's also on record as saying that he hasn't simply put enough work in on the practice table. The work-life balance, particularly with expanded calendar, is proving very difficult for the family men.
Yeah, and it's also proving difficult, as I say, because the tail ended, you know, the book-ended tournaments one to the other, so you can't really do the preparation. John strikes me as one of those ones who, for a tournament like this, would want to go away and play hours and hours before he gets there, and if he doesn't do it, he doesn't feel as if he is well prepared. Obviously the nature of this tournament would be in longer frame matches is what's going to suit him, and everybody, bookmakers included, expecting a better performance from here.
I have heard, Steve, that he's thinking about putting a practice table in his own house to prevent the need from, when he comes home, having to go away to the club again and practice all day there.
Yes, but I mean, every player is different, because a lot of the players have benefited from more match play this season. So in a way you can't have it both ways, and I would prefer more match play than solo practice in a darkened room. But every player is different, and you've got to know your own game, really. Has
he got his hands full with Wenbo this evening, do you think?
He certainly has. He's playing very well. He played, I think it's 3 times before it's 3-0. I mean, the one that sticks with me is the UK dismantled him 9 frames to 2, John, when he played him that time. But Liang's playing much better today, and John has definitely got a match on.
Yeah, very mature performance so far from the young man from China. Let's just update you with what's been happening on the other table this morning out there, and this is a very high quality one actually. Dave Gilbert, the man who dropped off the main tour at the end of last season only to earn his card again at the qualifying school, determined to make the most of this opportunity, and he's done so after 5 years away. He knocked in 6 50-plus breaks on the way to this 6-3 lead over Martin Gould, who's the world number 12. And let's be honest, guys, Martin, since he's become a seeded player, this is the first time he's come to the Crucible as a seed, he seems to be under pressure, handling the fact that he's no longer doing the hunting, he is the hunted.
It makes a massive difference to people. The outlook, you know, you're coming there, nothing to lose, you know, you're looking at trying to take the scalps, all of a sudden you become one, and it does make a difference to you. Dave Gilbert, for his own part, he was always a very good curist, a very good player, just inconsistent was the problem that he always had, but he can play when he is playing. How
big a problem do you think Martin has when they finish off that session?
Well, he hasn't got too much breathing space before the finishing line is in the eyes of the other guy, so he really will be wanting to get off to a decent start. And if he was at all feeling the heat, or perhaps his back arm was a little bit tight, somehow he's got to try and get out there straight away as the underdog for that session and get going quickly. But he puts pressure on yourself if you're that far behind.
OK, well, they're going to finish off tomorrow, so we'll keep tabs on that one. But we've got another 3 former world champions on parade this afternoon. But for 2 of them, this appearance at the Crucible is extra special, and they're determined not to squander the opportunity, and indeed perhaps to enjoy it more than they've done before, because they both had to qualify again. Ken Doherty won this title in 1997. In fact, the last time he was here, so relieved was he and overjoyed, he actually kissed the Crucible carpet on the way into the arena. Don't know what he's going to do this time. But for Stephen Hendry, who hasn't had to qualify since 1988, 24 years, this qualifying business is all a bit of a shock to the system. But to be fair to him, he really has, the 7 times world champion, gritted his teeth and got on with it.
There's a lot of pressure there because everybody wants to be a part of this tournament. This is our blue red in the band,
and you know, it's the one that everybody wants to play in at the end of the year.
I've not had to do that since I think 1988. You definitely want to get through the crucible. It's the World Championship. The last thing is 2 weeks sitting on your backside at home watching everyone else play. It's everyone's ambition to play the crucible. When you grow up, you're watching TV. That's where you want to play. It's the best venue in the world to play snooker.
This crucible theatre has a very special atmosphere. The pink curtains pull back, you know, when you're introduced into the crowd. There's no feeling like it. Playing Neil Robertson, he's one of the, you know, it's a tough draw. He's a former world champion, one of the, you know, prolific winners on the circuit these days. So yeah, it's going to be a tough one. But you know, hopefully it's going to be tough for him. You know, I'm not here to just turn up and make up the numbers. I'm a bit of a proud Irishman to be doing stuff like that.
It's going to be a tough match. You know, I'm the qualifier, so hopefully he'll be the one feeling the pressure. You know, I've really not got a lot to lose, so I'm just going to go and enjoy the match. Looking forward to it.
Still life in the old dogs yet, you know. I mean, every dog has its days, so we're old dogs. We've had a few days here, but hopefully myself and Mr. Hendry will have another day and another few tales to tell about the Crucible Theatre Sheffield.
Well, let's talk about Stephen Hendry first of all. What do you make of the way he has applied himself in these qualifying matches? Not just for this one, but he's won 5 out of 6 in the qualifying matches.
Well, I've seen him on the tour last couple of seasons in the PTCs, which are the small events that are over the weekend, and when he first started playing them, and when all of a sudden it started to go a bit wrong for him, you could see he was thinking, I don't want to be here, I shouldn't be here, I don't need all of this.
Yeah.
And he was in the wrong frame of mind. But this season, he's been a different animal. He's actually sort of got down and fought a bit, and actually sort of all of a sudden got a bit of confidence back, because he was losing confidence, surprisingly. He's been a different animal, and towards the back end of this season we've seen his results improve, and now all of a sudden, even though he says there that he considers himself the underdog, I think he secretly fancies having a bit of a run.
Yeah.
One of the points to mention is, and it happened to me, is when we've been used to playing in the bigger venues and the arenas like that, and you go back to playing in the cubicles of the smaller places, when you go back and you qualify into the main arena again, that in itself becomes a little bit more difficult and a little bit more challenging. So he's going out today. I know he's played there numerous occasions, he's won it 7 times, but it's a big day for him today, going back out into the Crucible.
As indeed it is for Ken Doherty. And, you know, it does strike me, you've all done it before. You've all been world champions. You know what it's like. Why is this experience so valuable and so sought after year upon year upon year, even when you are, let's be honest, a fading force in the game?
It's just the greatest place to play in, and it's just such a buzz. The difference between you sitting at home and watching someone else play in your place and you being out there playing and having the buzz, the electricity, the breathing on the front row, the spectators surrounding you, there's nothing like it. Your friends, your family coming to watch. It's very special. From the minute I walked in the door as a 14-year-old to watch first time, this is the place I wanted to play at.
I would say whilst the younger players effectively have the advantage in just going for it, blinkers on, pot the ball they see, the older player does know how to handle himself, or the experienced player knows how to handle himself in the preparation and on the day. Because sometimes the alarm bells can be ringing as the day unfolds, or over the 2 days that the match may be, and you've got to know how to be calm enough. And if you've been there before, that probably does help. But you've still got to get off to a good start in the first round.
We do indeed. Well, let's talk about the opponents of Stephen Hendry today. Stuart Bingham, the man who on his debut 12 years ago, beat Stephen Hendry, who was then the defending champion. It was one of the biggest shocks that we've seen at the Crucible. Now the roles have reversed a bit. It's Stuart Bingham who's the seed.
Well, I must have been about 14. My mum and dad got me a book for Christmas. I remember opening the first cover of it, and it was obviously the picture of the Crucible. I remember looking up to the video camera and said, in my high-pitched voice, I'm going to be there one day. And my mum and dad always bring that out every now and then.
All around. 12 friends.
In '99, I remember going up for the day, and I spoke to Mike Ganley, and he got me like a backstage tour sort of thing. And I remember sort of sat in the table 1, sat in the chair and thought, I'd love to play it. And like a year later, got to play there. and that's got to be obviously my favourite time, really. Obviously beating HENDRY in the first round. I remember walking out the curtains and thought, how many great players have walked out these curtains, sort of thing, and I was in my element. I was just sort of, didn't care if I lost 10-0, I didn't care if I won 10-0, it was going to be the same. I just kind of totally enjoy it, and it showed in the game, and obviously one of the biggest upsets in Crucible history. When your name's written on that trophy, it's meant to be, I think that's how you do it, because everyone's good now. You can't really see it. Even Selby, world #1, he ain't won it yet. So that's how hard it is. You've got to be on the ball for 17 days. Don't care if you're not playing, you've got, your mind's on it, and so it's just so hard to win. I want to get to the semi-final and play on that one table setup. Obviously I ain't got past the second round, so that's like my next step, is trying to get to that semi-final. You can imagine that one table walk, it like having a bit more of a walk to the chair, and just sort of everyone there to watch you two fight out. It's just going to be brilliant.
And just hearing Stuart talk like that certainly gets the anticipation levels up a bit, doesn't it? Looking forward to this, as indeed there's a packed Crucible house. Rob Walker all set to introduce all 4 players this afternoon.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's the opening day of the Betfred.com World Snooker Championship, and we are starting this marathon in style. We have 3 former world champions for you waiting backstage, along with a recent ranking event winner. So without any further ado, let's get the boys on the bays. Please welcome one of the most popular players in the game. It is great to see him back on the big stage, making his 18th appearance at the Crucible, twice a runner-up here in Sheffield. He went all the way and took the big one in 1997, to the delight of everybody back home. He's the darling of Dublin, Ken Doherty. And his opponent, a player who first came to Britain with barely a penny in his pocket. He has since established himself as one of the best in the game. A superb run to the final here 2 years ago. He was a worthy winner. The reigning Masters champion. Can you hear the thunder from down under? Here comes Neil Robertson. And here on table number 1, please welcome the most decorated player ever to grace the modern game. Winner of 36 ranking event titles. This is his 27th consecutive year here at the championship. 7 times a winner. That's why we call him the King of the Crucible. He's back, Stephen HENDRY. And finally, having turned professional in 1995, he is loving his spell in the top flight. He won his first ranking event at the start of the season in Australia, bidding for his 4th appearance in the second round at the Crucible, the pride of Basildon, Stuart Ball Run Bingham.
And you can watch Robertson Doherty live on the red button and online. We'll concentrate on events on table 1, and we'll do so in the company of Neil Fold.